very much. Now, our first topic is in the afternoon is digital product for the future. Here, we look at the case study from Schibsted Media. What is Schibsted's product strategy and what is their focus for the next years? How do they set up teams across product management, technology, and UX? Yes, the product director of Schibsted will answer all these questions now, along with their approach to solving user problems. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Krishna Prasad, former editor-in-chief of Outlook, to introduce the speaker and moderate the session. A short introduction about Mr. Krishna Prasad. Mr. Krishna Prasad is a former editor-in-chief of Outlook and former member of the Press Council of India. In his 34-year career, Krishna Prasad has worked in 4 cities with 2 newspapers and taught journalism on 3 continents. Currently, he is an adjunct faculty at the Asian College of Journalism, where he teaches social media. He also publishes the critically acclaimed media blog, IJR. It's nothing but IndianJournalismReview.com. Welcome, Mr. Krishna Prasad, to our conference now today. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hello and welcome to the final session of Digital Media 2021. As you heard from Vijay Lakshmi, my name is Krishna Prasad, and I can guarantee you that this is the most difficult session of these 3 days. Not only is it the penultimate session on the final day, it is also happening in Indian time during the most testing time of the day, which is just after lunch. And you know, the mind has many other things to think about just after lunch, but still somebody's got to do what we got to do. And so here we are in this penultimate session. During the COVID lockdown, one of the more interesting things I got to do was to be on the jury of the World Digital Media Awards 2020, which was again organized by WAN-IFRA. And I was assigned to judge entries for social media engagement and for the best marketing campaign for a news brand. The campaign which caught my eye the most was a campaign called Find Your World Cup Twin. It was a campaign inviting news consumers to send in photographs, and using facial recognition technology, the media outlet matched the faces of the news consumers with their favorite football stars. It was a campaign of the Norwegian news outlet VG, but pronounced as VG. And yet another campaign which caught my eye was a fictional video on a part of Norway called Bergen, which was threatening to break away. It was a spoof video. It was a video, again, created in the backdrop of Brexit and Britain leaving the European Union. But this was a spoof, again, of a video of a part of Norway breaking away from the country. This also was a campaign of VG, alias VG, the Norwegian newspaper and media outlet. In other words, Norway's biggest news media outlet has been at the forefront of great marketing and innovation and products. So therefore, it's a great pleasure to welcome Ola Stenberg, the Chief Product Officer of VG. Mr. Stenberg is a journalist, a former journalist, but he's been at the forefront, at the heart of the newspaper's transformation, the digital transformation into the digital age. After stints in VG's TV wing and having been in the management of VG, Mr. Stenberg is now leading a large team of product designers and developers who are developing and designing products for the new age. So here he is today talking to us about the digital projects of the products of the future, or the products of the digital future. So over to you, Mr. Ola Stenberg. Great to see you here, and we look forward to listening from you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. I just realized that my screen stopped sharing here, so I will just share that again, and please tell me if there's anything that doesn't work. You can see it now, right?
You are on, yes.
I'm so happy to be here and kind of share a little bit on how we think going into the future. I will not go into details or detailed projects. You mentioned one of them, but try to talk a little bit about how we are looking at things in general. So first, I will tell you a little bit more about who is VG and who is Schibsted. VG is a part of Schibsted, and then we will touch on our product strategy, and I will talk a little bit about mindset, how we're thinking. Talk a little bit about something we call Holy Trinity, which is really, really important if you are to succeed in the future. So if you ask me what should you guard against if you are to success in the future, this thing about Holy Trinity will be important to take notes from, I would say. And then I will also talk a little bit about how we work with data and insights in VG especially. So if we start with VG and Schibsted, and I would like to start with Schibsted, as you know, a pretty large media company doing well in the Nordics first and foremost. In Schibsted, you have Nordic marketplaces doing great success in Norway, Sweden, and Finland. We also have what we call Next, which is startup companies, companies that started small and now growing. Many of them becoming really big companies. And then you have news media, which I'm a part of, where you will find the VG, where you will find Aftonbladet, the Swedish version of VG, and many other news media outlets. And if we go into news media, which VG is a part of, you will find a broad portfolio of media outlets that is financed in the mix of advertising and subscriptions. And as you can see all the way to the left here, you see VG together with Aftonbladet. We put them together because they are alike. It's VG in Norway and Aftonbladet in Sweden, and we have pretty much the same positions. We are so-called primary news destinations, and fortunately, we are #1 in our countries. And then you have, for example, Svenska Dagbladet and Aftenposten, which is premium subscription brands, national. And then you have, for example, Bergens Tidende and Stavanger Aftenblad, which is premium subscription brands, but they are regional. And then we also have a strategy for niches. The biggest is E24, which is about business. But we also cover technology, fashion, weather, health, and so on. And what is kind of common with all this is that we are well positioned to grow revenues into the future here in the Nordics. News media strategy, it centers in Schibsted, it centers around continued growth in digital revenues. So that's the most important thing for us. And we have kind of put up 4 key focus areas. The one is that we want to be leading digital news products. VG and Aftonbladet is great examples on that. We would like to strengthen our ad position. We still strongly believe in the ad position. And then we also strongly believe in the subscription growth, and we see great numbers coming out of 2020. And then we also have a focus on solid cost control. To reinvest in growth. So that's also very important for us. So that was short about Schibsted. Let's move towards VG. And the really short story of VG is that VG is a newspaper that was started in 1945, and it became a great success as a newspaper. But today it's all about mobile, I would say. Of course, desktop is a big part of it, but we have grown to be Norway's #1 news site, and we have that position really strong if you look towards our competitors. So that's where we are today. So a great story of legacy media that is actually doing good in a digital era. So by the numbers, and I'm kind of only giving you the high numbers, the general numbers here. But VG has 3 million unique users every day across devices. On mobile alone, we have 2.2 million unique users every day. And as I said, we have the #1 position in Norway. And we actually have that position almost twice as big as our nearest competitor. And also pretty unique is that we are as big as, or actually lately been bigger than Facebook. So we are the #1 site being visited in Norway, and that is pretty unique for a news site. And if you look at these numbers, and you also note that in Norway we have a population of only 5.4 million people, it's pretty unique, and it should be energizing and give a lot of self-confidence for the media industry, in my opinion. If we just go through the history of VG from 1995, of the digital part of VG, and that starts in 1995 when we went online, we've pretty much done well. We've been through broadband, laptops, wireless and mobile, and now we are on our best days, pretty much reaching everyone in Norway. So far so good. The big question is what's going to happen next. And I guess it doesn't come as a surprise that our main focus going forward is the young users. This is the age segment of 15 to 24 during 2020. We have approximately, in average, 200,000 of them every day on VG. But as you can see on our spikes, because when there are big things happening, there are more young people at our site. The potential is so much bigger. So this is really important for us, both because we want to have young readers, but also because it's important for us to really understand the next generation and generation set that we really focus on. So here we are entering something that I believe is really important, and that is the fact that if we start with, on the left side here, you see a male 47, born in 1973. He was 20 years in 1993, 22 when we went online. What is good enough for him is pretty much everything we have done up until now. So he has won in most. And this is our average user. The average user of VG is male 47. And he's so happy. Everything we do is great. But everything that is good enough for him is not even close to good enough for her. The one you see on the right side, a young female, 20 years, born in 2000. She grew up with Facebook being launched in 2004, YouTube launched in 2005, Steve Jobs launched the iPhone in 2007 or 8, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and I can continue. So there's a really big difference in these two users, and we have a lot of male 47, but we need more of the young people. So let me see, something happened here. So what is important that things are changing, and it's changing really fast, and we need to understand why, but we can't switch from one day to another, because the male 47, he's happy. The young people entering VG now, they will demand a whole different set of things from us. So this is really difficult, I would say, and I would like to try to take you into how we are thinking around how we should attack this in the future. Important to know that is that if you go back to 2006 and 2005, 2004, early 2000, you can see that our average user was 20 to 29. So the average user has kind of just moved along with the time. And at that time, the 30-year-old was the person who won every A/B test at VG. Today, it's kind of dangerous that it might be the male 47 that wins every A/B test. So the big question is, are we doing too much of the same today as we did when that worked really well in early 2000? And I guess at least up until now, the answer is a clear yes. That takes me into the mindset or product strategy, if you like, because this is the way we think we could solve this problem, or maybe more important to call it is opportunity. Because if we start with the most important thing here, for us and every other media brand, at the end of the day, we're still selling newspapers. That's not changing. It's all about journalism. And I always say that I can talk as much as I want about product strategy, but our most important product is our journalism. It will always be. So that is not changing. So that's so far so good. One problem we see in VG is that we're doing a lot of different things on our digital platforms. We have our front page, we have a VG live service for sports results, we have a TV operation, we have sports, we have a news studio, we're doing niches, podcast. One problem is that our readers, they don't think about this as silos. They only think about all of this as VG. I saw it on VG, but for us, it's been for years a fact that we have been working in silos. And I guess that many other out there can recognize this, because we are trying to be more modern and do things the right way, but we're still too silo driven, and that is important to talk about loud, because we need to gather internally to make a product that fits the user. So that's one kind of important thing in the foundation here. And then we need to kind of meet the digital expectations beyond man 47, because he is not the solution for our futures. And I would like to read one thing for you that I think is really well said. Happy customers, they will pay, which means publishers need to create a quality digital product that will delight readers. To do that, it is key to understand where readers are spending their time and match those digital product experiences, such as Netflix, Spotify, or many other social media platforms. The person who said this is Jeff Bezos, and in my opinion, this is bullseye. And it is also really important in our mindset attacking the future. And along with increasing expectations from our users, we also see an increasing amount of touch points. And this is where it gets a little bit complicated, because the world is evolving. A lot of new stuff is happening, a lot of new platforms and ways to kind of get our content and products out there is growing. So we need to understand all of this to really win the user, and that is really important. It doesn't matter if you are really good at newsletters or desktop if you don't understand how to solve this in your apps or wherever you distribute your content and products. And to be honest, we have agreed that we often do bad at a very, very important part of attacking product development, and that is the first phase of trying to solve a problem. And we call that empathizing with users and gather insight. And you have to do that first before you start to define problems and hypotheses. The problem has been that we have been too full of ideas, internal ideas from people like me, from editors, from other people managing VG. But it's not up to us to define what we should do. It's up to the users. So before you come along with great ideas, you should be together with users and understand what their needs are. And as you can see on the right side here, I have some questions that I'm not using them every day, but if we need to really understand the user, this is questions you need to ask. What problem are you solving? Who does it solve a problem for? What's your target group? How many do we solve something for? What's the potential? What is the alternatives for this problem if you look towards competitors? Why is it that we have to solve this? Why do we have to do it now? These questions we haven't been good enough to ask. Really, really important. And as I kind of said, it's so easy to order features. It's so easy to say that I would like that color, I would like that product. But if it doesn't fit the user, if the user don't agree with you, you have big problems. And if you do it the way I just told you, you will open up for creativity around user needs, and you will end up with more outcome. And outcome is really important because you need outcome, not output. And this is something that I have to be honest, we haven't been really good at this, but now we are trying to be better, and we communicate this every week and talk to the people internally. Product and tech is pretty on board on this because we work after this theory, but the media house as a whole need to be more aligned with this kind of product theory. And I would also say that it's easy to kind of point fingers here, but we have to look at ourselves, because if we don't kind of match the user and get users who love our product, it's probably mostly our own fault. And we need to fix that, and we do that by involving the users, as I just told you a little bit about. And then from kind of the mindset here, I would like to talk a little bit about something I've called the Holy Trinity. And this is really, really important, because the Holy Trinity is about the product and product development of things, the technology part of things, and the UX part of things. For a legacy company like VG, a lot of this theory is new. So you need to spend some time on the cultural aspect of this and really talk about what does that mean. And what it means is that we have some things here that is crucial to make something happen. The first one, and a word we use a lot, is desirability. And you can read about this in hundreds of books from Silicon Valley. But this desirability is about needs. What is the user needs? It's really important to understand, because if you don't work on user needs, you won't succeed. And then we also talk a lot about feasibility. And feasibility is another really important thing, because it's about the technical part of it. Is it possible to do? Is it technical possible to do? So if your editor have a great idea, but your tech people tells you that it will take 7 months to solve, maybe it's not that a good idea. And then lastly, viability, another kind of buzzword, but also really, really important, because it's about business. Can we make money on this? So kind of do this, understand that before you start working with something is key to success, I would say. And then just a little bit about the cultural part here, because the theory is simple. Let's just do it. But it's difficult for, at least for a legacy media house, to get everyone on board. So I would say that for VG, and I guess I talk for many, that for product and tech and UX and that kind of team, it's easy to think this way because we are used to work like this. But for the newsroom, user payment, marketing, and many other departments, it might be difficult because we haven't read the same theory. And you can't tell them to do it. I think you should invite them in and kind of talk about it together. So let's move on here around why it's so important to have everyone around the same table, because you don't get anywhere if you're not around the same table. And this is a slide that's been with us for years, and I see this all over the place, but I still use it because it's so important. If we are to solve a user problem within news, we need to have editorial around the table. We need to have product there to take care of the process. We need to have tech there. We need to have our developers to kind of understand the technical possibilities or maybe obstacles. And we have to have user experience. We need to have the product designers around the table to understand the user needs. And then you also have to at least check, should we have done more research? Do we need more data? Do we need to do more analysis to understand this? Is business development, should they be a part of it? Because we probably need to earn money on it. And then, of course, all this need to be supported by KPIs, OKRs, or whatever you like to work with when it comes to metrics. And kind of to sum that up a little bit, we have the same goals. We want the same thing. If you ask me what is the most important thing for VG going from 1995 to 2021, what is the next 10 years? It's about relevance. It's about being more relevant to the user. Mail47 have won in most so far. The next generation, we need to hit them a little bit more relevant. We can't do everything for everyone anymore. And if we kind of manage to do things more relevant for every user, we will create value over time. We will succeed with loyalty. We will get that loyalty like Netflix, Spotify, or any other big product out there that is actually really, really successful when it comes to loyalty. And that in the end will lead us to customer satisfaction. So it's really important that we get on the same page on the product strategy, because We're all in it for the same, and we want to end up at the same place. So to kind of continue on what I started on around this process and a shared way of working, this is something that we really talk a lot about in VG, starting with the empathizing with the users, define the problems with that insight. When you have done that, then you can start to generate ideas together. And when you have done that, you can prototype it. And then you take the prototype back to the user to check it again. And then you can start to build your MVP or your first version of the product. But this is something you have to do. And if you don't do it, I will bet you will waste time. And we did this a couple of times on some big projects last year, and the results are great. We have happy users. We are not in the situation we were some years back where we built something for 6 months, put it out there, and we got no reaction. No one loved it. So really important and kind of difficult, because this is something that will take 5 to 6 weeks for a breaking news desk in VG, which normally works minute by minute. This is kind of a natural collision, but it is important. We have to do it this way. And that's why we're now trying something new, and we call it mission teams. Mission teams way of working is not new, but we are kind of trying to do this when we work on projects, because we truly believe that it is easier to kind of do it the right way if we put on the right framework. And mission teams is pretty much that we work on a project for 3 weeks. We have 1 week which we call detox, and then we start on another project in the next 3 weeks, and then you have goals and milestones within them. Important thing is that if we are to work on a mission or a problem or an idea, we are asking the people who come with the idea to answer some questions. You have to answer, what is the problem we're solving and for who? Why is it critical to solve right now? And how will this contribute to our objectives and key results? And when do you think we will succeed, and how will we measure it? If you can't answer these questions, we will not work on it, because this is helping us to take down time we waste. And we've done this for 2 months now, and it's working really well for us. Both we see earlier what will work, and we can see earlier what will not work. And a mission team should reflect the task to be solved. So it would typically contain roles like a lead. You have some developers, you have user experience, you have data, and then you put on other important people for that project specifically. So is it an editorial project? Yes, we should have a journalist. Is it a commercial project? We should have business development and so on. So that was a little bit about how we try to work. And finally, I would just like to share a little bit how we work with data and insight. For us, like everyone else, it's key to everything to be best at insight. But a key learning, I would say, from last year was that once a month we meet up across all teams and divisions in VG to share what we've learned. So once a month we have what we call Insight Sync. And in that meeting, we're not discussing who's reporting to who. We're discussing insight across all of VG and Schibsted. And it's not to kind of celebrate successes, but it's just asking each other why. And that's kind of the agenda for the meeting. And I think that to be able to move effectively into the future, we have to have a shared understanding of our insight. So just one, have the insight, but two, meet to share it and discuss it has been really important to us. And then I can bring back this one, because if we work like this and we also share the insights, we will learn so much along the way, and will be better and better for each project we are attacking. Yeah, I just look at the time and see that we're running a little bit late, so I'll speed up a little bit here. But I think that to kind of understand the new way of working and trying to understand why all those companies in Silicon Valley or Asia or wherever they are better than us, we have to learn along the way. And learning is a team sport. So what I try to say internally in VG when I bring along a lot of new buzzwords and Silicon Valley stuff is that we need to be in this together, and we should be interesting in learning, because it is so crucial for our future. And in the end, we will create better products, and we will kind of sustain that unique position of VG. I think I'll just end there. I guess we're going to open up for some questions as well.
Yeah.
And I only got to touch kind of the general way we're looking at things, but I hope it was useful for you guys.
That was very useful, Mr. Stenberg. Can I just sneak in a couple of questions?
Absolutely.
Obviously, one of these questions is intrinsic. Obviously, Norway's per capita plays a big role in the kind of news consumption that happens there. Here's a question from one of the attendees asking, what is the entry point to VG now? How much of it is through the apps? How much of it through the website? How much of it through the mobile? Or how much of it through the newspapers? Because in India, the numbers are quite skewed now. What is the percentage in the case of VG?
It's a good question, and it's really important. So I guess our mobile is standing for 70 to 80% of our traffic. So if we take the mobile versus desktop cut, you see that it's pretty dominant by mobile. We did see a desktop peak this last year because of Corona. More people are at home, so more people are using their desktop again. So that's the cut, mobile versus desktop. Then we have a pretty unique position as well when it comes to direct traffic. So we are not dependent on the social platforms. We've had a very clear strategy for not using Facebook or any other third-party platform to generate traffic. So we have a lot of direct traffic, and at our best days, it's around 90%. So if you ask about Facebook specifically, just to take an example, we have 4%-ish of our traffic from Facebook. So we could cut it tomorrow, and it won't affect our business that much.
Very quickly, very quickly, I can see that you're doing a lot of this with attention spans in mind for the younger generation, for the millennials, for Generation Z, and so on and so forth. Here's a question. How do you keep those 47 still interested in your product? Or above 47?
Yeah, I think it's a balance. It's the way I see it is that we need to continue to do what works for them. At the same time, we need to introduce them to the new way of kind of presenting content, distribute content, and also create products. But it's important to understand that when we launch something new that we have great results in this process I'm talking about, we have been empathizing with users, and they say it, they love it, and then we kind of put it out on VG, and we see that people don't like it. The reason why they don't like it is that the male 47 is dominant. So I also think that we have to kind of learn our old users that things are changing. These new formats, the new way of storytelling that Snapchat and Instagram kind of introduced to us, that's something that the next generation will kind of make sure will be the default. So it's a great balance between making those young people happy, probably making some of them those old users not that happy, but at the same time a little bit learning. Things are changing, and you have to accept it.
Well, absolutely. The last question. You are a journalist who's also a product manager just now. We now have mobile phones, apps, Alexa, etc. What is your wildest thought of the future? What could happen? One single sentence.
Oh, that's a really difficult question. To be honest, I'm really boring on this because, in my opinion, journalism is getting stronger and stronger for every day. And Corona and the US election and a lot of other things showed us that. So the journalism will just continue to kind of be the foundation. And then we just need to meet the expectations. And I don't believe that it will be only sound or only AI or VR. I think it will just be a more suitable user experience. I'm not thinking that way about the future. I think it's more simple, actually. Sorry.
That's a safe Norwegian answer for a very good question. So, Mr. Ola Stenberg, Chief Product Manager of VG, thank you so much for joining us. It's been wonderful listening to you, and I wish we had more time. But here's good luck to you and all the products that you will design and which will follow perhaps soon in the years to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And please reach out if I can do anything or on email or whatever.